Performance is a premium-grade rotator cuff and scapular strengthening system that's been specifically designed to meet the extreme demands of the overhead athlete. Using the most current medical and strength training research, Cuff Performance delivers a comprehensive program that strengthens both the shoulder and the core to enhance performance and prevent injury. Regardless of your sport or activity, give yourself the competitive edge by using the Cuff Performance training system.
The shoulder is the most mobile and unstable joint in the body. Mobility is provided by a combination of limited bony architecture and soft tissue connections. I've encountered numerous injuries to overhead athletes in my 15 years of practice. Many of these could have been prevented with a well-structured strengthening and flexibility program. Cuff Performance offers an effective, efficient solution to specifically strengthen the shoulder and the core. Our therapists and trainers have used the Cuff Performance program successfully for years for both rehabilitation and performance training. It's extremely functional and has direct carryover to on-field performance. I highly recommend Cuff Performance to all of my patients and athletes.
Now that you've been introduced to the system, let's take a look at Cuff Performance in action. The program is comprehensive but easy to follow. You'll go through a total of 12 different exercises. 2 will be performed at elbow level, 3 from chin level, 4 from the knee level position, and 3 more from the overhead position. Generally speaking, you'll perform 1 set of 10 repetitions with light resistance before practice or games for a dynamic warm-up. Afterwards, you'll perform another 1 to 2 sets of 10 repetitions for strengthening 2 to 3 times per week, depending on your sport. Please refer to your sport-specific protocol at cuffperformance.com for a detailed description of in- and off-season, year-round training. Our system features the patented Slastic technology. The protective sleeve protects the cord from overstretching and injury, which limits liability. It protects the cord from UV damage, which allows indoor-outdoor application as well as poolside use. The cords are incredibly durable, lasting 8 to 10 times longer than normal naked tubing. Our resistances vary from 5 to 35 pounds. Setup is easy, but depends on where you're using the system. Our carabiner attachment works great at baseball and softball fields, tennis courts, and fighting octagons, essentially anywhere where there's a chain link fence. You can use a wall or loop attachment at poolside. We offer 2 different door attachments for home use and a vertical upright for PT clinics, gyms, and athletic training rooms. We've had a thorough overview of the products supporting the system. Let's dive into the program step by step. The Cuff Performance Foundational Program is designed to create a solid, stable shoulder complex with precise, well-executed movement patterns. For maximal effectiveness, use proper form and trunk alignment with each exercise. Take each repetition through a full range of motion with a good pause at end range. Use appropriate resistance. A common mistake is using too heavy of resistance too quickly. Remember, a good exercise performed incorrectly greatly diminishes the value of the exercise and may in fact cause harm or injury. For the setup for external rotation, you're going to stand nice and tall, have the elbow slightly away from the trunk. If you have a difficult time maintaining that position during the exercise, you can cue yourself up using a small towel roll, again between the trunk and the elbow. You want to begin with the hand in the midline position with the 90-degree angle in the elbow and the hand slightly above elbow level. You're going to bring the arm out, pause, and then back to the midline position, keeping the elbow in line with the hip joint. You should feel the exercise in the back of the shoulder if you're performing the exercise with correct form. Common movement faults with external rotation is dropping the hand below 90 degrees as you spin out, having the exercise become more of a tricep emphasis. One more. Good. Second fault is overextending the wrist out and arching the back. And the last fault is rotating the trunk while rotating the arm. That decreases the emphasis and the pull of the muscles in the back of the shoulder that are critical to work during this exercise. The setup for internal rotation is the same as external. You're going to have the elbow slightly away from the body. If you have a difficult time maintaining that position, you can put a towel roll between your trunk and your arm. You want to have the elbow in line with your hip joint. Begin with the band on slight tension in the out position. You're going to move towards the midline position, pause, and then back out to the starting position while maintaining that good elbow alignment in relation to the hip. The most common movement fault with internal rotation is allowing the hand to cross midline of the body and allowing the hip or the elbow to move away from the hip. You want to keep the elbow in line with the hip joint and bring the hand just to the midline position. Set up for the reverse fly, you're going to keep a nice upright trunk, nice and tall through the head. You're going to begin with the arms fully extended with slight tension on the cord. With the thumbs up and the hand slightly below 90 degrees, you're going to bring your arms out to the side through a full range of motion with a nice pause and then back to the starting position. You should feel the muscles working pretty strongly in the mid to mid-lower back. Common movement faults for the reverse fly include bringing the hands too low, shrugging the shoulders and bringing the hands too high, above 90 degrees. And the most common movement fault is overextending through the trunk, diminishing the work of the muscles in the back of the shoulder and putting the load on the spine. The setup on the row is similar to the reverse fly. We're working from the chin level attachment with the arms extended fully with slight tension on the cord. With the thumbs upright, hands slightly below 90 degrees, you're going to bring your hands towards your armpits with the elbows at a 45-degree angle as more of a beginner exercise. As you get stronger, you can come up towards a 90-degree position, but still maintaining the elbows below shoulder level. Common movement faults for the row are pulling the hands too low, shrugging the shoulders and pulling too high, like an upright row, or overextending in the spine. Set up for the punch exercise. We're working from the chin level position. You're going to bring the arms into a fully straight position with the cords running directly over the arms with a straight line between the shoulder and the hands. You're going to allow your shoulders to pinch back and then press your hands away from your body while maintaining your hands slightly wider than shoulder width through each repetition. Common movement faults for the punch exercise include bending the elbows, turning it into a bench pressing motion, bringing the elbows too wide, losing tension on the cords, or bringing the hands too narrow, wrapping the cords around your neck and shoulder, again losing proper tension on the cord. Working off the low attachment, we're going to look at external rotation at 90-90. With slight tension on the cords, we're going to bring the hands back, elbows to 90 degrees. You're going to spin into external rotation. Nice pause, back to the starting position. You want to maintain the elbows slightly in front of the torso and slightly below shoulder level. The two most common movement faults for external rotation at 90-90, bringing the elbows too far behind the body, limiting your ability to bring the hands all the way back, putting more stress on the front of the shoulder. The second fault is overextending in the spine, reducing the tension on the back of the shoulder. Working from the low position, we're going to do the touchdown exercise. Begin with the arms fully extended, slight tension on the cord. You're going to bring the hands up and over the shoulders, at the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock position. Keeping a nice upright trunk position, bring down to the starting position at waist level. You should feel a nice strong contraction right between the shoulder blades or slightly below. Movement faults for the touchdown exercise include bringing the hands too narrowly overhead, putting more stress on the shoulder joint, bringing the hands too wide, incorrectly targeting the wrong muscle groups, or overextending through the trunk. Working from the lower position using a lighter cord, we're going to do the diagonal up exercise. Begin with the hand on the opposite hip with the elbow almost straight. We're going to move the hand up and across the body towards the 10 o'clock position with the cord slightly below the chin, and then back to the starting position. You want to keep a nice stable trunk and have that cord again finishing slightly below chin level. Two common movement faults for the diagonal up exercise include over-rotating through the trunk, losing that stable base, and secondly, finishing too low below that ideal 10 o'clock position. Working off the low attachment, we're going to look at the scaption exercise. Begin with the arms straight, hands down by the side. The cord should have the webbing on the outside portion of the hand. With the thumbs up, move slightly out away from your hip pockets. Pause below 90 degrees, slightly below shoulder level, and then back down. You're going to keep a nice upright trunk position with the shoulders back and back to the starting position. Common movement faults for the scaption exercise include bringing the cords too narrow or too wide, sometimes if you're using too much resistance, you'll shrug the shoulders, bringing the hands above 90 degrees. The standing Y exercise, you'll begin with the palms pointed down about waist level, elbows completely straight. You're going to bring the arms up and overhead to the 10 and 2 o'clock position. Pause, come back slowly. You want to make sure that your trunk is nice and straight, that the elbows are completely locked out, and a nice pause in the top position. Common movement faults for the standing Y exercise include first, overextending in the lower and mid back. Second, coming up with your elbows bent. And lastly, not going through a full range of motion or pausing it in range. Working off the high attachment, we're going to look at internal rotation at 90-90. With the elbow slightly in front of the shoulders, hands in line with the elbow, you're going to spin internal rotation and control it back into external rotation. You want to maintain your elbows slightly below shoulder level and a nice, slow, controlled motion back into the starting position. The two common movement faults for internal rotation at 90-90 include allowing the elbows to roll in as you pull down, and secondly, allowing the elbows to come too far behind the midline of the body, which will put excessive stress on the front of the shoulder. From the high position, we're going to look at the diagonal down exercise. Beginning with the hand at the 2 o'clock position, nice vertical trunk with the opposite knee up. We're going to bring the hand down and across the body to the opposite hip, pause, and then return back to the 2 o'clock starting position. Common movement faults for the diagonal down position include having the wrong knee up, bending the elbow, and over-rotating the trunk, losing that nice neutral alignment. With the shoulder extension exercise, you're going to begin with the palms down at shoulder level. You're going to bring the arms down by the side, slightly past the hips and buttocks, and back up to the starting position. You're going to keep your abs engaged to keep a nice upright trunk position. You need to have the elbows fully extended or straight through the full range of motion, and a pause at the end range. Two common movement faults with the shoulder extension exercise include, first, losing trunk position and abdominal control, leaning forward, losing that nice postural position, head coming forward. Again, we want to keep a nice upright trunk position. The second movement fault includes going through that range of motion with a slight bend in the elbows. We want to make sure that they stay straight through the full range of motion.